Well, hello everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm going to show you how to make this really easy. Michael's makes it really easy with their mixed bushes. So just a few stems in a foam cube, and we're going to put this together for you. I'll show you some of the things that I found at Michael's. This container, of course, is one. I only have one of them today, so we're going to have to work with it. We have our FloraFōM cube that we're 6-inch cube that we're going to use inside the container. And just remember that our foam now is recycled foam, so it is a little more earth friendly for us. We have these just one stem of these lavender pom-poms. And with as much that I have in here, our foam would really accept probably 3 times this many stems. So if you want to really fill it up and make it really full, you can do that too, and the foam will accept it just fine. So just one stem of the palms. I use just one stem of this purple Queen Anne's lace. And then a couple different bushes of lavender. This one's just like mostly lavender with some greens in it. Just a deluxe lavender mix bush. And then I found this is called a white blossoms and purple foxtail. So another mixed bush. It's just nice that they have all the stuff in it already in it for you to use. Then I found these. I just liked the texture of it. It's blue heather. We're going to split this up and use a little in the front and a little in the back. And actually, because I did that this way, I might split it up even more and use it throughout to help fill in a little on the bottom, just to show you a couple options. And then I liked a little bit of trailing greens down the side there. So I found this. This is called a Heartleaf Philodendron. So we'll use that on the one side. And then to fill in and cover the top of the foam, we're just going to use some Spanish moss. And to put the Spanish moss on and hold it in there for you, we're going to use these little floral pins, or they're called greening pins. So they're just little U-shaped pins, and they hold the moss and stick into our foam really nice and hold nice for you. You're going to need some wire cutters for cutting the stems. Michael's has a couple. There's this size here, just a smaller. Most of these stems are pretty small, but if you find that you have some heavier duty stems to cut, they also have these combination cutters, and they really make a difference, make it a little easier to cut through those heavier stems. And then you'll need some kind of a knife. This happens to be, it's called a keyhole saw. It has really aggressive teeth on it. It's one of my go-to saws if I have to cut any foam. But a regular saw, serrated knife, anything's going to work for you. And then I think that might be it. If you do, this is going to be outside, and it's going to have a lot of movement, people brushing by, or maybe get tipped over or anything. You might want to glue your stems into the foam just to keep them more secure. And we always use low temp glue gun with our foam, because a lot of times the high temp glue gets so hot that it'll melt the foam. So just make sure you use a low temp gun. And that might do it. All right, well, I'm actually going to take this one out of here and use this pot. So you can see where I've cut the corners to make it fit in the pot. So to mark it, so you know where to cut, all I did was just put a little pressure, oh, not that much pressure, on each of the corners. And that's just gonna put a little groove on each corner, and then you'll know how much to cut off. So you're just gonna saw straight down. All four corners. See how nice it cuts? And then save all these little scraps, because I'm going to tell you a little trick at the end to use those up with. All right, and then this is just going to pop right in here. You want it to be a little bit snug. You don't want it to come out real easy. And if you do want to secure your foam in the pot, you could just take a couple dots of glue, and right where it touches the inside of the pot, just put a little pile of glue right there on the four corners, and that'll just keep it from popping back out. But you'll still be able to get it out of there if you do want to get it out of there. So one way to secure it in there. So I started with my tallest stem in the center of the pot. And generally you want your tallest flower to be about 1.5 times the height of your container. So you're gonna go, let's say, we'll cut the stem to about 4 inches. I'm gonna use this bigger one on here because this is a heavier stem and it just cuts so nice. We're gonna put this right in the center and spread it out a little bit. And like I said, if this is gonna be somewhere, it's just easy, just a little bit of glue on the end and then insert it. All right, and now we're gonna put apart the Queen Anne's lace. Let me get these other ones. So I'm gonna cut these right at the main stem. And they're gonna go in just slightly lower than your palms. Kind of in front. I'm gonna move those. I'll put this one on this side. There we go. Looks a little better. All right. And then these, I just liked these little leaves on there, so I'm actually going to use those also. I'll cut that a little shorter to about 4 inches, and then I'm just going to use this for a filler in behind these stems. Something like that, just to help fill in around those. Then
So Dondi,
yes, ma'am.
someone is wondering, how do you determine what height to have each stem at? Is there a good rule of thumb to follow for this project?
Well, if you start out with your tallest being 1.5 times the height of your container. So all I'm doing with this one is just doing a triangular shape arrangement. So that's why I started with the tallest, and I'm going a little shorter with this. You can just go by eye, really. Whatever shape you want your arrangement to be is where you'll place your stems. So all I'm doing here is spreading these apart. giving each individual stem their own space here, letting it fill in. And I'm just going to take this whole piece with this large stem. I'm just going to insert it right in on the side, just slightly lower than your tallest. And then you're just going to fan those out so that the taller ones are towards the center and the shorter ones are off to the side and out to the front. That's what's nice about these, are all wired, so you can make them go wherever you want them to. Whatever looks good to you. That's pretty good for that side. We have this mixed lavender bush, and it has several branches that branch out. So you just want to bend those out so that you get the full use of it. And again, you want kind of the taller towards the center and the shorter ones out to the, oops, out to the side. We're going to put this one in on the opposite side. I keep pulling them off. And then just fan those out. I'm actually going to move this guy over. Center. Yeah. All right, and then on the other one, I use these kind of all together in a group. I just want to show you what it would look like if we used them all separately and help fill in around the whole arrangement instead of just using them in groups. We'll cut these down to about 3-inch stems. I'm just going to start filling in around the bottom. And just remember that you can put a little bit of glue on each of these stems before you insert them. It'll just help hold them in place for you. Stand some back here. Maybe stick this right in the center. It'll just help fill in so you don't see all those stems. Actually, put this one back here. We have those guys around the front, on the sides, in the back. It just helps fill in those stems. So this guy, he's got several branches. And on the other, I put it all on one side. If you want a little on both sides, you could do that too. We'll let this guy trail off one side. Maybe a couple over here. Oops. And then we'll try one on this side too, just to see what it looks like. Let him come over on that side. And then we're gonna use our pins, a little moss. We're just gonna tuck this around. You want to cover up that foam. This makes it look a little more realistic with the foam, with the moss in there. Cover up the foam. Cover up all those green plastic stems. Can let some hang out a little. Once you get it all tucked in where you want it, we'll go back in with the floral pins just to secure it in.
Dondi, someone's wondering if you're working from the front and they're seeing the back view, or is this kind of like a 360 sort of
Well,
planter?
it is pretty much 360. I mean, you can view it from all sides. I'm showing you the front here. But then just go in, and you don't have to put a bunch of these pins in, just a few here and there, and it'll just keep it from blowing out. So that is pretty much it. And like I said, this plant or this block of foam will fit 3 times this many stems. So you could really fill this up, or you can add to it as the season goes on, add a few more blossoms here and there, however you want. So I do have another idea for you. So if you have a giant planter for fresh flowers, I know a lot of times people will put rocks in the bottom of their planters for drainage, which works great. So you would just take your rocks, you would put them in here. I only have a bag in here so that I can take this back out. You wouldn't put a bag in here if you're planting in here. But I just want to show you the difference in weight. So to get drainage, you need a couple levels because you want the dirt kind of to sit on top, and then you want the water to be able to drain through into the bottom of the pot. So you have to have quite a little bit in there. So you put that in there, and you take your dirt. And I'm really going to do this so that you guys can see the difference in the weight. Here's this one. I would put my dirt in here and I would plant my flowers. That's nice and heavy. They're nice and full. And then you got to figure this is dry soil. So once you put the water in there and water your plants, it's going to be even heavier. So this is just the pot without water and rocks. See what it weighs. Almost 18 pounds. So that's pretty heavy. Moving it around or trying to water it just gets a little heavy with the rocks in there. So I mentioned saving the scraps of your foam. Now this trick can only be used with like ornamental plants, not edible plants and not vegetables. So you would just use this with flowering plants. So I'm just gonna break up some foam and save all your scraps. Like this one I already used it in a pot and took it apart, but I saved this piece of foam. And I'm just going to cut pieces, just all odd shaped pieces, kind of how rocks are. Just all jaggedy pieces. And your same thing, you're going to want a couple layers deep. And this is going to give you drainage, but it's not going to give you all that extra weight.
Dondi, can we get a top view of that?
Sure. So there you are. All the little chunks are in there. You're going to want it so that it's a couple layers deep so that the dirt can sit on top and the water can drain through. So I'll add some dirt to here. Oh, I didn't put my bag in there. That's all right. I don't need to pull this one out. And this is a good idea for like the window boxes that you hang on your railing, because they can get really heavy. So if you need drainage in them, just put a few little pieces of the foam in there, and then they won't all be hanging and sagging off your porch rail. All right, we'll see what it says. So this is not quite 12 pounds. So that's quite a difference. And like I said, that's without water. So just a fun, easy way to lighten up your planters on your deck or on your porch rail. And another thing, I noticed when I cut this guy, I wished that I would have cut him a little longer because I would have wanted him like maybe up that high. So if you do that, if you cut him too short, Michael's has stem wire It's just a really thin floral wire, green painted floral wire. So you can take your wire, you can lay it next to your stem. And this is floral tape. Floral tape is not sticky until you stretch it and activate that adhesive in there. So we're gonna pull and stretch this tape. Oops, let me get a new spot. We'll pull and stretch this tape and wrap this wire right alongside your flower stem. And you're just going to pull on that tape and stretch it. And you can see when you're stretching it that it turns like a lighter color. And then you know that the adhesive is activated. So you're just going to wrap that wire all the way down the stem and then just tear the tape and trim your new stem to where you want it. And then you can add it back into your arrangement and you can leave it the taller height that you want. So just an easy way to extend your stems. And if you don't have floral tape, or I'm sorry, floral stem, you can actually use one of the scrap stems that you cut off and use it the same way as the wire and wire it on or tape it on to a new floral stem. All right, are there any questions?
No, there isn't, but people really liked the class and they thought it was very informative.
All right, well, great. Do we have, oh, our next month's class is a fresh floral arrangement. So we're gonna teach you how to do an arrangement, and I'm gonna show you the difference between what an arrangement can be if you use our wet foam and the difference between arranging in our foam and just plopping them into a vase. Just the benefits of our wet foam, using our wet foam. All right, everyone. If there are no further questions, I'm going to say goodbye for now. Thank you.